Hi everyone and welcome to the Endocrine Lab. And as you can see, this is a very short lab part compared to like our last few that we've had. Mostly it's just identify your endocrine organs and specific regions and structures in microscopic slides, and then no hormones. All right, and you're going to use your lecture material to help you with this part. All right, I'm going to click on the lab manual to give you an idea of what that looks like. And as we scroll down, again, you're going to have a quick introductory paragraph onto the system. The objectives, again, are always our prefixes, suffixes, and then really the macroscopic portion is very, very simple. There's a pituitary gland, the infundibulum, which is part of it, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland. I mean, these are all very large structures. I will show you those in a second. Actually, we have the link to those images right here. And that takes you to, let me just modify, try to modify what you can see. So this actually takes you to all the folders. If you go to endocrine, we have both PowerPoint or JPEG. Oh, the JPEG is kind of small, but there's one plaque that has all of the structures labeled on it. It's super simple. And then the PowerPoint, and the computer's thinking, is basically the same thing. It's just in a PowerPoint version. But again, you'll see the plaque and all the different structures. So really the large anatomy portion of it is very simplistic. More of the anatomy is going to come in to play with the histology. So let's go back to that. So if we go into the microscopic anatomy, the first thing is our pancreas. These are the structures. You saw this during the digestive system. They're pretty much all the same. So again, we still have our septa, we still have our pancreatic acini, we still have those pancreatic islets. None of that has changed, so this is pretty much a repeat for you. I guess maybe the one term that is a little bit different are these lobules, and that simply is like these septa will form these lobules, these areas. That's all that is. Okay, if I continue down, here is the pituitary gland. There is an adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary gland, and then a posterior pituitary gland or neurohypophysis. They are fundamentally different. They're actually fundamentally different structures, even though they're part of the same, like, I guess, gland, like the pituitary overall. The anterior pituitary, you can see, is more dark purple. There's clusters of cells. They should remind you of acini in other areas, and that's because it is glandular structure, and these are all producing hormones. The posterior pituitary is actually neurological in origin. These are actually axons of neurons where the cell bodies are actually in the hypothalamus. These are just their axons coming down into this posterior pituitary where hormones are being released. So they're fundamentally different. This is neurological, neurohypophysis, and then this is basically glandular, adenohypophysis. And they should look very different to you, right? The thyroid, I love this gland. It's kind of actually a pretty slide if you saw it in person, and nothing looks like this. It's really pretty easy to distinguish it. There are these large circular, somewhat circular, I guess, follicles or structures. So each one of these circles here is a follicle. You see it outlined here in green. The cells around the outside of the follicle are follicular cells. They didn't go very difficult, the naming on that. The actual light pink in the middle, the fluid, is protein. It's, again, hormone. So that protein hormone based hormone is called colloid. So that's simply the pink in the middle. And then ever so often you'll get these cells that are not part of the actual follicle, but they're in between follicles. Those are parafollicular cells. So that's pretty easy. And then here's your adrenal gland. It has a cortex, which is the outer part, and a medulla, just like we saw like in the kidney. Outer part is simply cortex, inner part is medulla. So the big things here is, what is this organ? Well, it is the adrenal gland. The outer part is the cortex. The inner part is the medulla. Yay, that was easy. And then the last part of this lab are these hormones. You'll need to know their function as well as what gland and region of that gland secretes them. So there's a growth hormone, adrenocorticotropin hormone, antidiuretic hormone, oxytocin, thyroid hormone, parathyroid, insulin, glucagon, aldosterone, epinephrine. All of those, you'll find all of this information in your lecture PowerPoint under the endocrine system. So you just use this chart to help fill out that information. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Otherwise, this is actually a fairly short lab, and that's about it.